core values, things like fellowship, leadership, integrity, diversity, and service. We have as a mission providing service. Everybody say that. Providing service. Do better. Providing service. We also promote integrity. Say that with me. We promote integrity, and we also advance world understanding, peace, and goodwill. That is the mission of Rotary. On your tables, you will see there are several pieces of paper and pens and pencils to write with. It takes only a minute to fill that out. Please, during the course of this meeting, fill out those pieces of paper, put your name on it. It helps me to get a sense of what our interests are here in the club and to plan better, I think, for our own future for this next 12 months. So please, please, please fill those things out. Also, I want you to take out your cell phones, and as we've done in past weeks, take a selfie and post it to whatever social group you belong to, Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Snapchat, whether it's Twitter, whether it's LinkedIn. Let's do that right now. Let people know that you're at the best Rotary Club in the state of Texas.
By far.
How do you take a selfie with a flip phone?
I don't know. Okay, I've got that done, and hopefully you'll get that all posted. Now turn off your cell phones, or at least power it down, or make it where it doesn't ring during the meeting so that we don't interrupt our speaker. And now I would like to well, she's already had to skip out. Vicki Conway, I knew she was going to be leaving early. We're always very thankful for her talent. So I'd like to call forward, though, Gareth Mondoron and David L. Jones to do the opening ceremonies for us.
Will you stand, please, and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed as the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Gareth. David?
Join me as we pray together, please. Thank you, Lord God, that we're in a nation that allows us the privilege to stand and sing a national anthem that we can be proud of and be standing tall for. We also thank you that we have the privilege of praying in public and without any recourse from a government and or a source that does not allow that sort of thing to take place. We pray for all of our Rotarians around the world and as they strive to serve their communities in ways that will bring better lives and better opportunities for their constituents. And we even pray for today for our club and our opportunity here in Tyler. May we do things well. May we do things right. and may we do things with a good attitude and a right heart. Take our time, use this club to bring glory and honor to your name. For it's in our Creator God that we pray, and all the people said, Amen. Thank you. Be seated, please. It is my privilege to welcome you to Rotary today. And we had a guest that was found us on YouTube, came and visited, asked for a application, and then got called by his company to step out. So we'll follow up with him. And that's the kind of guest we like to have that looks for us. And we need to make sure that we let him know how much we appreciate him, even though he was interrupted by a business call today. Are there any other guests that we need to recognize? Over on my right side. All right, here in the middle. And over here on the left. Okay, no guests. Do we have a visiting Rotarian today that we need to introduce to the club? All right, here in the middle. Well, it looks like it's all us old home folk. So welcome. We're glad you're here today. Look forward to a great time. Mr. President.
Thank you, David. We had for our greeters today, Colby McElwee and Katie Hall. Thank you all very much. That's a very important part. Thank you for that. Paul Gleiser, unfortunately, is out of town. We have birthdays and anniversaries to announce today for August. Let me go ahead and go through the birthdays that we have. Jim Bland, August the 13th. Jim Robertson, August the 14th. Kathy Adams, August the 19th. Donna Kroom, August the 21st. Neil Vasso, August 23rd. Mary Birch, August 25th. Clinton McCoy, August 27th. Jimmy Hutchins, August 28th. And Curtis Scudder, August 29th. Let's sing them happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rotarians. Happy birthday to you. Thank you. We also have, what did I just a second? We got more birthdays in August. Well, we've already sung it, but I'll go ahead and announce it. No, it says birthdays in August. It's anniversaries is what it is. Okay, anniversaries. 1 year, Alan Johnson. He joined on August the 12th. Hamet Patel, 10 years on August the 16th. Buddy Hawk, August the 29th. 37 years. And Robert Wells on August the 30th, 4 years. It doesn't seem possible, Robert. I can't believe it's been that long. Congratulations to all of you. We're glad you are a part of us. David Jones wants to introduce the fall membership campaign.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're going to do a membership drive starting on September the 1st, and we'll run it through December 1st. So that's 14 weeks. And since it's in the fall football schedule, we're going to do a fall football theme. And if you invite a guest, you get 3 points. If you invite a person who joins the club, you get 7 points for a field goal and or a touchdown. And the way we're going to do that is we'll divide the club up into 10 teams. And each team will represent a football name. And we're going to have a little drawing raffle type of thing. So the first item of business to run this campaign is we need 10 coaches. Each team has to have a coach. So we need 10 coaches, and I'd like for you to volunteer if you'd like to be a coach, because the idea of being conscripted to be a coach doesn't sound too inviting. But how we'll do that, we'll do a lottery draw among our membership, roughly 10 people per team, 10 teams. We'll cover our club, and we'll introduce the membership drive on August the 25th. We'll kick it off on September the 1st, and we'll close it on December the 1st, and then we'll award our prizes at our Christmas event, whenever that's going to be determined in early December. Now, the last time we did this, our club grew exponentially, and we had a lot of fun. And so we're going to utilize the NFL teams. So we'll have Cowboys, Texans, chiefs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So be looking for August 25th as our introduction and our kickoff on September the 1st. And I'll be taking names for coaches. So if you want to be a coach, come see me. Let me know ASAP. Coaches, raise your hand if you want to be a coach. DM. Greg. Green Bay. Okay, would y'all check with me real quickly right after Rotary, make sure I've got your name correctly? All right. Any other coaches? That's 4. So I need 6 more. All right. Larry Wickham's going to be 1. That's 5. That's 6. Woo, boy, we're working with. Need 4 more. So if you're interested in being a coach, let me know ASAP. It's going to be a lot of fun, gang, and we will have prizes for the winning teams, I promise.
Thank you, David. Be sure to mail in or let Holly know about your volunteer hours. She keeps record of that every month and sends those in. You know her email address. All of you are getting like a club newsletter, and just email that in to her. Our program for August the 11th, next week, is going to be Smith County Judge Nathaniel Moran. Also, I want to remind you that we had in our area, very tragically, unfortunately, a peace officer to have fallen. And tomorrow, some of the roads, just be aware of this, in our area are going to be closed for a couple of hours for his funeral procession. So if traffic doesn't seem to be going just normal in some areas of our town, you'll understand why, because of respect for our fallen peace officer. At this point in time, I would like to ask Andy Christopher to stand. Yeah. Andy, I am very appreciative that you are a part and coming back to our Rotary Club. A lot of you don't know, Andy used to be the president of our Rotary Club, and I stand on his shoulders and my ability to also be president because of the contributions he made. Also, Andy is very special to me because I think most of you know I'm a retired clergyman, and from time to time I fill in at different churches when a pastor needs to be off on the weekend or a Sunday. And on 2 occasions that I know of, Andy Christopher came to church even knowing that I was going to preach. And anybody that comes to hear me preach is one of the best friends I can have in the world. Thank you very much, Andy. You can sit down. Now, at this particular time, I need to make an introduction. We're getting close to having our speaker to speak. And I want to introduce to you that person who is unique, who has the perfect storm of beauty, brains, and bounce. She is certainly an asset to our Rotary Club, and she'd be an asset to any group whereof she might choose to be a part. Unquestionably, my suspicion of her is that once she assumes the presidency of our club, our organization will be rudderless no longer. In the newest edition of the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, if you look up the word effervescent, you will find this person's picture right beside the word. I present to you, to introduce our speaker of the day, Trudy Williams, who is known as a hand ready to help, a visionary ready to take charge, and a party ready to happen. I told you.
Thank you so much, Allison Cambry, our president. Boy, I can't wait to hear the rest of them. We got to do this all year. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to serve as your president-elect, and I hope that you all have gotten your memberships to my fan club. You need to see Allison as soon as possible because I don't know how much longer we'll be able to do this without charging a subscription fee. So thank you all for being here. I want to welcome you again. And I also want to take this time now to introduce to you our speaker today. I think if you know me at all, you know that I've often spoken about how lucky we are in this community to have all of the wonderful resources that we really do have in healthcare. We're very lucky in Tyler that we have options and that we have so many choices and so many things that we can choose from. We don't have to travel to Dallas. We can, but we don't need to do that. So I'm blessed and thankful to be a part of one of those organizations that is committed to this community, not only helping through healthcare, but also committed to extending the healing ministry of Jesus Christ. So I was really, really happy whenever Christus reached out to me and said, we have a presentation we'd like to do about our multidisciplinary cancer center that we're building. So if you've been by the campus, you can see there's construction going on in the back, and that is what they're building. So I wanted to introduce Dr. Curley, who's going to be talking about that. And when I got his CV, I was scrolling down and I got to about page 57. And I said, okay, I'm just going to have to paraphrase. Dr. Curley is extremely accomplished. He served as a professor, served as a chief of surgical oncology, but most recently, in July of 2018, he became the Oncology Institute Director and Chief of Surgical Oncology at Christus Trinity Mother Frances Hospital, where he is working, and he is also helping to develop the multidisciplinary care program for cancer patients and develop a center of excellence for clinical care and clinical research here in East Texas. He's helping them plan to build a fully integrated, state-of-the-art cancer treatment center to provide world-class cancer care throughout this region. We are so lucky to have this right in our back door, and I'm really looking forward to learning more about it. So please join me in extending a really warm Rotary welcome to Dr. Stephen Curley.
Well, thank you very much. And as soon as you started the introduction and you threw in the word beauty, I knew you weren't talking about me. So I kind of breathed a sigh of relief. To follow. I'll grant you that one. It's a pleasure to be here. Okay, got it. I've rarely been accused of being too quiet. That's a new one. Erica Edwards will confirm that. She's our head of marketing, Christus. We spar frequently. That's a fair statement. I want to talk to you today about why I came to Tyler. As mentioned, I was in Houston for 30 years, 25 years at MD Anderson, 5 years at Baylor College of Medicine. So I ran big cancer programs there and had the opportunity. One of my medical school classmates asked me 4 years ago to look at a job up here. And I thought, well, that would be a different type of thing when we look at that. And I quickly realized it was a unique opportunity, at least in the state of Texas. You had, and I want to just start out with a very distinct comment here. When I say bringing world-class multidisciplinary cancer care, you already had great medical oncology and radiation oncology in Tyler. What you didn't have is the things that I did, which is surgical oncology. And so a lot of patients who had difficult to treat cancers, the ones that I like to care for, liver cancer, pancreas cancer, stomach, others, which are really difficult diseases from a surgical and a medical oncology point of view, were being sent to Houston, MD Anderson, where I came from, or UT Southwestern, Baylor in Dallas, other places. So let's face it, patients would prefer to be treated closer to home. And I can't tell you how many literally thousands of patients I saw from not only Texas, but other states who would come and see me at MD Anderson or Baylor and say, well, yeah, we like you, but we hate Houston, we hate the traffic, we hate having to pay $60 a day to park at the garage. And so people like to be treated closer to home. So that was my charge when I came up here, was to build a center that would allow me to do that. How are we doing the slides here?
Do you want me to tap it or you?
I got it right here?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I negotiated a deal when I came up here. I said, look, you've already got really great medical oncology. The Texas Oncology Group here in Tyler, many of you probably don't know this, is actually the #1 clinical trial group of a private practice group in the United States, not just Texas, but in the United States. I've run a lot of clinical trials. I have throughout my career. I kind of freaked them out a little bit when I came up here to Tyler. I brought 7 clinical trials with me. They'd never had a surgeon do that before. And the Texas Oncology people quickly realized that we all spoke a common language. So Texas Oncology and Christus are 2 very different organizations, 2 very different cultures. So it's been a matter of getting them to work together. Erica's doing her best to keep a straight face, but you're not making it. I've got the scratch marks on my arms to prove that it's been a little bit of a fight with them, but we've actually got it to where now everybody sees a common vision. And I'm gonna ask a question to sort of start from here, and then I'll launch into what we're doing. How many people here have either been diagnosed with cancer, had a family member with cancer, or know somebody who's been treated for cancer? That's right, everybody. It has become the most common killer of Americans. 2 years ago, it passed heart disease as the most common cause of death in Americans. Sadly, cancer rates have stayed fairly stable over the last 50 years. Heart disease, we've got better treatments for, better diagnoses, but cancer continues to be a bane of the human population throughout the world. And as I said, it's something that we need to do better at diagnosing, at treating, and making it easier for our patients, not harder. So this is the new logo for the Northeast Texas Cancer and Research Institute. Notice that word research is very prominently in the title. We are going to be a major center of clinical trials so that patients do not have to go to places like MD Anderson, UT Southwestern, Mayo Clinic, wherever it is. We can provide the same level of clinical trial care right here in Tyler. Through my contacts with industry, with companies, through Texas Oncology's contacts, we have literally tripled our portfolio of clinical trials just in the last 4 years, and that will continue to expand. Sorry. There we go. Oh, now it's going fast.
See, that's where we have trouble.
Right.
Okay, so this shows you an overhead view. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the campus at Trinity of Francis. As mentioned, kind of back behind everything. You can't readily see this from the road. This is near Front Street. Beacon is off to your left there. So this is going up in what was a parking lot. And we'll see if it slowly progresses here.
That's harder than surgery.
It is harder than surgery. Oh my gosh.
You have to grow hip now.
Okay, so this, yes ma'am.
Let me do it.
Thank you. So this shows a floor plan for what we're doing. This will be a 3-story building, almost 90,000 square feet. You will see our first floor, which is not the floor patients come in on, it's just they come in on the second floor. We'll have vaults for 3 linear accelerators. We're going to go from 2 to 3. We're getting a new type of variant true beam linear accelerator that is one of the first in Texas. Actually would be one of the first 20 in the United States. It is the most advanced radiation therapy machine available on the market currently. There'll be space for radiation oncology. There'll be a new diagnostic imaging center, which is a Christus facility. We will have only the 3rd advanced PET scanner made by Siemens in the United States, not Texas, but in the United States. This is their brand new state-of-the-art equipment. It will allow us to do imaging that is not available to most Americans yet. We have a CT scanner. It's called a dual energy. I'm not going to bore you with the physics of what that means. It's the first in Northeast Texas. I will show you what those images look like. Let's go ahead and progress to the next slide. So any of you who've had a CT scan or an MRI scan know it usually takes a while. They keep moving it back and forth in the tube, and the MRIs are loud, they're noisy. This CT, this shows an example actually of a leaking abdominal aortic aneurysm. All of that scan was generated in a single run of the patient, taking 27 seconds. The color image over there is not some, Photoshop thing. This machine has the ability to generate 3D images like that, to where you can subtract out organs, you can accentuate other organs. As a surgeon, I can use it for planning. Okay, I've got a tumor here, here's where the blood vessels are. I can know exactly what to expect, and I can then show that to the patient and explain it next. Here's an example of a liver cancer. You can see there's the standard looking images. We're looking at different sorts of densities. Where is the tumor in relation to blood vessels? I can subtract out organs. I can literally, in that image above, see what blood vessels are supplying the tumor. So I know exactly where to attack those blood vessels to make sure I've completely removed it. Next. You can see 6.8 seconds. Here's a very large liver cancer. You can see it's taking up this whole area of the right lobe of the liver. Again, different color images showing that it's getting its blood supply from the hepatic artery. That's the bright red. Not getting any blood supply from the vein. All of those images captured in less than 30 seconds. And so this is going to allow us literally to scan 3 to almost 4 times as many patients a day as we are now. It will give us much better image quality, ability to look at things and tell where they are, tell if they're responding to therapies, if the tumors are shrinking. Next, please. Here's the second floor. This is where patients will come across. There's a parking garage here. There'll be a covered walkway here, a nice entrance, a Texas Oncology Clinic. That will be the new infusion center. We're literally tripling Texas Oncology's infusion space. I'm not going to ask the personal question if anybody's ever been treated by Texas Oncology here, but anybody who has, you know that they're on the first floor of our North Park building. It's a little bit of a dungeon, no windows, no light. Well, here you're going to have 12-foot high floor to ceiling windows looking out to the west over the green belt there that is to the west of our building. So it's going to be beautiful, airy space, and a lot of natural light. Next slide. This is the third floor, another Texas Oncology Clinic. Here's our Christus Surgical Oncology Clinic. The important thing here, in all of my previous jobs at MD Anderson and Baylor, I worked side by side with the medical oncologists and radiation oncologists. So we did real-time treatment planning. If I saw a new patient, say with a pancreatic cancer, I think you need chemotherapy first or radiation first. I could go and look at the scans. This will allow us to do that. Right now, if patients come to see me, they have an appointment on a different day with Texas Oncology, all of that's going to go away. This will be sort of one-stop shopping for the patients. So they can see all of their providers, plus we're going to be adding services, nutritional support, social workers, supportive care, people who've had treatment with chemotherapy, surgery, frequently will have side effects or long-term sequelae of their treatments. We need to be mindful of that at all times. I have a very simple mantra. I told every fellow and resident I trained over 30 years, we are taking care of cancer patients. We need to make their lives easier, not harder. So that's my goal here, is to make it easier. Next. So this is a architectural rendition of what that will look like. Well, this will also have that lovely symbol. This is the lady right here who came up with that symbol, that nice colored 5-star, almost flower looking. That will be on this signage. So you'll have the Northeast Texas Cancer and Research Institute. Next. This is a view of you'll see lots of light here in the entryway right through here, big staircases, lots of glass, again, lots of natural light. Next.
The cars come with it?
Just for you, yes. Just for you. This is the south side, so this would be viewing from the North Park office building. So you'll see deliveries there. This is the radiation oncology vaults. Next. I want you to remember this spot right here. That's a steel beam, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. So again, the patients will walk across the street from the garage into this. There will be parking right out in the front for patients getting chemotherapy or radiation therapy. They're not feeling well. They don't want them to happen to circumnavigate from the garage. But you'll see, again, lots of light, lots of open space. Next. Here's looking up from the second floor up to the third floor. Next. Okay, that's fine. So, and then you have somebody on the third floor, the elevator's looking down, again, a lot of glass. So this is a picture from September last year. We broke ground on this building in April 2021, and the first few months were involved in digging out a whole lot of dirt and building the vaults. The vaults, you can see, were the very first thing done. Lots of regulations around these vaults. It's a special concrete pour. It took them about 12 hours. They poured it in one continuous pour to pour these 3 vaults. And then you can see right now, there's just a pile of dirt where the garage is supposed to be. This is the imaging center there on the left. They're just starting to put down flooring. Next. By January, they laid all the concrete bases and they're starting to bring in structural steel. Next. They did that fast. You can see we had the top off on February 17th. Remember that place I told you to remember in the entrance? That's where this beam is. That was the final beam they laid in there. And again, it denotes that this is the Northeast Texas Cancer and Research Institute. It's a joint venture between Texas Oncology and Christus Health. All of us who work in the center got to sign that beam. Obviously, you can't see it. It's underneath plaster, but it's there as a reminder of what we're there to do, which is to provide world-class care for our patients. Next. So this is a picture from March. Now you can see that parking garage is up. That thing went up in about 4 weeks. It was like Tinker Toys. It was amazing. We brought in a big crane and they just plopped down big pieces of it. And the next thing you know, there was a garage. Now, it looks impressive, but I'm going to tell you there's nothing in the inside of it yet. It's just a big pile of dirt. So they put up the outer walls and looked in there and went, okay, well, I can't park in there. So then they started pouring the concrete ramps. So that's happened since then. Okay, next. And then by May, now they're starting to actually put rock and brick up. Now there is concrete in the garage. Next. And then here in June, you can see brickwork being done, glass going up, the garage getting completed. Next. There you can see those glass walls. Here's that floor, as I told you, it's going to be the infusion center. Look at that. I saw a couple of people nodding their head saying, yeah, I've been in the Texas oncology space. Think of how beautiful this is going to be for our patients. You know, there's going to be nicely landscaped all around this. Some trees, not so big that they block the view. That would be counterproductive. But again, nice light, nice space, open, airy, chance to communicate with other patients. We're doing some novel things, including putting some recumbent exercise bicycles in some of these things. It's been shown that people who exercise while they're getting chemotherapy actually do better. They have less side effects. So we're doing some very novel state-of-the-art things. Our surgical oncology space will be up here on this top floor. Next. This just shows the front. You don't see the sign up yet, Northeast Texas Cancer and Research Institute, but it'll be there. Next. So let me just tell you a little bit about what's happened with our oncology program. So you are very fortunate here in Northeast Texas and here in Tyler to have really state-of-the-art multidisciplinary medical facilities. And I'm not talking just cancer now. As a cancer clinician, I have to be aware that my patients many times have other medical problems. They may have heart disease, they may have high blood pressure, they may have diabetes. So these are things that we have to provide care for. At Christus Trinity Francis, we've got great clinicians across the board in all of the specialty areas. So they are there to help me and my patients if they have other medical problems. So we are a commission on cancer accredited program. That's a big deal. Only about 60 to 65% of hospitals in the United States even try to get that accreditation. There's a lot of hospitals that don't. You have to jump through a lot of hoops to get this accreditation. I'm happy to say that in my first go-round with getting accreditation at Trinity Francis, we were fully accredited with no deficiencies. So we jumped through all the hoops. That puts us in a top 10% program. I'm going to brag a little bit about Christus Trinity Francis. Just heard from our CEO of the hospital this week. The latest rankings of Texas hospitals came out this month, U.S. News and World Report. Over 500 hospitals were assayed. Christus Trinity Francis is number 9. So it's the 9th best hospital in the entire state of Texas. And you've got that right here in Tyler, Texas. This year, we're going to get accreditation as a breast program of excellence. Again, the last year we spent jumping through hoops with the American College of Surgeons and the Commission on Cancer to get that. Next year, we will get a rectal program, a cancer program. We're working on a prostate cancer program of excellence. We've been doing, even though it was tricky, we've been doing education and screening prevention talks out in the community. We did skin cancer in 2020. Last year we did lung cancer. This year, next month, September, is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. Dr. Kirkpatrick, our head of urology, will be going out to several events in the area, a couple of churches, a couple of events. I think we're going to be at the East Texas senior event we're going to do. So we're going to definitely let people know about that. I don't know, have any of you ever been to the Cattle Barons Gala? So it's a great event. I didn't even know we had one here in the town until last year when I got called the day before saying you should be at this. I said, yeah, I probably should. Well, last year when I went, there was a lot of orange in the building, and a lot of UT signs. I said, okay, I like a challenge. So this year, much to Erica's chagrin, I called the American Cancer Society and said, how do I get the signs around the stage? And they said, well, you guys already given us money. And they said, you want them? I said, I want them. Next slide. So if you went this year, these are the banners you saw along the stage. Funny, the UT people weren't as nice to me this year. So I don't know why. I really wasn't trying to be obnoxious or anything.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this was actually the first public unveiling of our new logo. And again, there's the lady who's responsible for that. I'm giving her full credit.
Did she get paid?
That took a lot of work to get Texas Oncology to buy into that.
Do you
They
get a
like
royalty every time he mentions that?
No, it just means he's gonna beat me up later
Oh.
about something else.
that means I'm going to send her emails about our website later. That's her least favorite topic to discuss with you. Next slide. So I told you I brought clinical trials when I came here. So one of the things that in my laboratory life, in my previous jobs, I always maintained a basic science lab. I've always been interested in finding better ways to diagnose and treat cancer. I've developed a number of new devices that I use to treat cancer. They're now available not only in the United States, but worldwide. A Freenome study is a study that is looking at what's called circulating tumor DNA. We now know that cancers release little pieces of mutated or abnormal DNA into the blood, even at early stages. So I can't tell you, I know I've met several physicians here in the group, all of us have probably had that conversation with a patient. They come in and say, you know, doc, I go to the doctor every year, I get blood tests. How can I have stage 3 or even stage 4 cancer? I don't feel that bad. Well, it's because standard blood tests don't pick up cancer. So about 11 years ago, working with a colleague at USC, a fellow by the name of Peter Kozlowski, he and I started looking at circulating tumor cells and circulating tumor DNA. We've now got to the point where there's several large companies running these trials for us. And this is one of them. So we're looking to see if we can detect the abnormal DNA. We actually are doing something called CAR T cells, which is a very advanced immunologic therapy for a number of cancers. We became the first non-academic center in the United States to have a CAR T cell program. We're looking at Signatera as another company looking at ctDNA. I'm going to talk a little bit in a moment about something called the SOAR trial. We've got a survivorship coordinator. Again, there are some of you here who are survivors of cancer. You get followed. What we want to do is make sure that we are addressing your needs. You know, I'm like a family practice doctor as a surgical oncologist. I've got patients I've been seeing for 25 years. You know, they've seen my kids growing up. I've seen their kids grow up. Now they're seeing pictures of my grandkids, whether they like it or not. Usually they request it. They want to know what's going on with them. We've had Surgical Innovations Lab come here. We're working closely with them. Now I mentioned that SOAR trial. There it is down toward the bottom. So this is a big deal. So this is a trial that is a national study. It's going to be 115,000 patients. They ask each site to essentially enroll 5,000 patients in 1 year. Christus Trinity Mother Francis is the only non-academic center chosen for this study because we've got a great primary care network. The idea behind this is if you go in and you see your primary care doctor, we're going to ask you to give us a blood sample. Based on the early study results that we got from my lab and from now the company, we have about 1% of patients, maybe a little under, will actually have to call and say, I'm sorry to tell you this, Mr. Jones, but you know, we detected DNA for lung cancer, or Mrs. Smith, you may have an ovarian tumor. Whatever it is, the patients will then get a free state-of-the-art PET CT on our equipment. Again, like I said, it's mind-blowing how accurate it is. What we know is the earlier stage we detect cancer at, the better chance we have of curing the patient. So This sounds a little science fiction right now, but I think a decade from now, we're that close. When anybody goes in to see their primary care doctor for an annual visit, if you're over the age of 40 or if you have a history of family cancer at younger ages, it'll be younger than that, you will get a DNA panel drawn. And they may call you back and say, I'm sorry to tell you this, but we're going to bring you in and get a PET scan or a CT scan or an MRI scan. You tested possibly positive for an early pancreatic cancer or for a lung cancer or liver cancer, whatever it is. Again, if we can detect, we can treat, and we have a better chance of cure. So here at Trinity Mother Francis at the Northeast Texas Cancer Research Institute, we will be engaged in this trial. This will be the confirmatory trial that the FDA uses to decide if this technology is going to become readily available. So we are very, very excited to be involved with that. We also, and this is something that's more for me than anybody else, you know, Texas Oncology and Krista's have two different electronic medical records. Any of the physicians here know how painful electronic medical records can be. Well, our two didn't talk very well. They will now. We're working with them to where now I will be able to see their records, they'll be able to see mine. This is the first time US Oncology has ever done this, actually partnered with a healthcare group to give them access to their records. Next. So go ahead and hit the button to run this. This is another thing that I brought with Ethicon. This is called the virtual patient. So as a surgeon, this shows a liver. You have the blood supply there. You see the green, the tumors. We will be one of the 5 test sites for this novel program in the United States. They're interested, again, in validating this for use in treating patients or planning treatment, seeing if a patient is responding to therapy. So this takes a patient actual CT or MRI scan, digitizes it, and then again, as a surgeon, I can play with it. You can see we're kind of adding and subtracting. So here we're adding the liver back in, rotating it in space. You can see the blood vessels there. You can see where the tumor is in relation to the blood vessels. And here I can go in as a surgeon and say, okay, if I literally tie off or suture or staple that blood vessel, will that get the entire tumor? No, it doesn't. Okay, we'll have to get that blood vessel too. This is going to markedly improve my ability to plan and treat patients who need high-end surgical procedures. It will help our medical oncologists and radiation oncologists know if their tumor treatments are working, if the tumor is shrinking, if the blood supply to the tumor is being killed so that we know that it's no longer being supplied. So again, this is another example of some of the state-of-the-art treatments we are bringing. Next slide, please. I'll just click the next slide and it should go. There we go. So what are our goals? I'm sorry to say that Northeast Texas is not in a sterling position in the state. Our cancer incidence rates and outcomes are at the bottom, and that doesn't make me happy. That's not acceptable. My goal in the next 5 years is to get that number where we're in the teens in the state of Texas. And I'd love to get it down to single digits. So we need to really get the message out to our population about the importance of screening, about the fact that we have trials like the SOAR trial, where we can enroll you and do blood tests in order to try and detect cancer at an earlier stage, where we can actually cure people. We are going to really work hard on getting people engaged throughout the community. That's why I'm here today, is to speak to you about our program. As I told you, we're adding cancer nutrition and social work services. One of our cardiologists is starting a cardiac oncology program, because many of our treatments, many chemotherapy drugs, some immunotherapy drugs, can affect heart function. And so now patients, if they're having any kind of heart issues, if our medical oncologists say, gee, I'm a little bit worried about how you're doing with your treatment, they can now get them seen the same day, get an echocardiogram, know immediately if it's safe to proceed with their treatment. As you can see, we want to enhance our survivorship and supportive care services. We've hired an oncology nurse navigator who literally will help patients who are new and already a little bit freaked out because they just got diagnosed with cancer, help them through the system, help answer questions, be a resource for them. I told you my job is to make life easier, not harder. This is an example of how we're doing that. And then again, here we go, the M word, marketing. We are here, we want to let people know that we're here. To my chagrin and sometimes shame, I still have some physicians who are employed by Krista's Health who may be in Jacksonville or maybe in Mount Pleasant or some other place who go, oh, you guys do cancer surgery at Tyler? I didn't know that. You know, I've had people call me and say, do you know anybody who does this type of surgery in Dallas? And I go, sure I do, but why, do they want to go to Dallas? Oh, you do that? Yes, I do that. My partners do that. It went from me 4 years ago, an N of 1, to as of September, there will be 6 of us in surgical oncology. There will be 3 advanced GI sarcoma surgical oncologists, which is what I do. We have a head and neck surgical oncologist. We have a gynecologic surgical oncologist. One of our cardiothoracic surgeons, Dr. Cacciatolo, is really converting himself pretty much to a thoracic surgical oncologist. Does great work. Our neurosurgeons are doing more oncologic work. There's really only one adult tumor that is very rare that we don't have a specialist to treat here in Tyler, and that's osteosarcoma, primary cancer of the bone. There's only 5 or 6 a year diagnosed in this region. So rare tumor, obviously we don't need a bone surgeon to do that. Those patients will go elsewhere. But for the most part, what we want to let people know is we can provide all of your care, chemotherapy, radiation therapy, surgical treatments right here in Tyler. Next. So, because what's in red, we would like you to help us spread the word through your communities, through your friends, through your organizations. I'm going to be doing a lot of these talks here over the next 3 months as this center gets ready to open. We will go live with patients on Monday, October 24th. I would invite and encourage any of you when we are open, and I would be happy to host anybody from this group or the entire group and take you on a grand tour of the facility and show you what our capabilities and what it is we're building. We want to be very user-friendly for our community. We want to be readily and rapidly available. You know, I told leadership at Christus, we want to make it easy for patients. The entire cancer center will have one phone number, even though we're technically 2 organizations, Christus Oncology and Christus Health. Patient calls and, you know, they're going to get a phone tree. You always get a phone tree these days. But it's going to be one click. They're going to be talking to a human being. That's the way my clinic runs.
I'm impressed.
Hey, we're getting excited already.
Okay.
You said all the other stuff, that was the.
Yeah, you know, otherwise, you know, if you call, heaven help you, if you call most businesses, I'm not going to name any.
Take 5 phone
Well,
calls.
I'll name one. I've got to take my car into service. I'm not going to say where. It took me about 7 clicks before I actually got to talk to a human being.
Yeah.
And so I was just ready to go, come on, really?
That's
So
our
no,
feeling.
that doesn't work for me. That is a non-satisfier. Like I said, easier, not harder. That's always the goal. So we're going to be going around talking about this. And like I said, this one here, involving our primary care patients, I told you, I want to improve diagnoses and outcomes of our patients. Well, we've got to let people know that we've got the ability to do that. We've got to motivate people to take better care of themselves, to come in, to get these kind of state-of-the-art tests, to look to see if we can diagnose cancer, to talk to people about the importance of things like proper nutrition, exercise, stopping smoking. I mean, the list goes on and on. There are ways we can cut down on the incidence rate of cancer, and we want to do that. And the SOAR trial is something that I'm going to heavily emphasize to all of our patients and providers. This is the future. This is how cancer will be diagnosed a decade from now. Patients will be getting blood tests, looking for cancer to see if we can find it at an early stage. And right here in Tyler, our patients are going to have access to that.
Good.
With that, I will say thank you for this opportunity to speak to all of you. It's been very, very nice to be here. I've enjoyed it. As I said, I'm happy to answer questions, happy to host any of you who want to see this center when we open at the end of October, and I really appreciate your time.
Great presentation. Question I have is, what are you doing, or have y'all done any type of work with insurance companies? Well, the biggest, having dealt with cancer, not a person in my family, dealing with insurance issues, getting approvals for scans and all that stuff. It's a major pain. What type of work have y'all done to try to improve that aspect of your?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And the answer is yes, both we and Texas Oncology are very actively talking with insurance companies. Now, the good news in some of these clinical trials, those don't cost the patient anything. So that patient is not going to get charged a penny for the blood test, or if they need a PET scan, the company is paying for that. So they get that PET scan for free. Now, if they are diagnosed with a cancer and we say, oh, hey, it looks like you've got a breast cancer or a lung cancer, whatever, they're going to get treatment, and obviously we'll work with the insurance company on that. But we are embedding business office people in the cancer center so that, we're not, again, talking to some faceless, nameless person at some site somewhere else in Christus. That was something I insisted on, because I want the patients to be able to meet with them. If I schedule them for an operation or if we're scheduling them for chemotherapy, we will have people who will be right there, talk to the patient, say, okay, let me contact your insurance company, let me get approval for this so that you don't get a bill, 4 weeks from now that, oh, that CT scan you just got, the gorgeous state-of-the-art CT scan, you're getting charged $2,500 for it. No, we don't want that to happen. I can't tell you it's going to be perfect, but yes, I am very mindful of that. Yes, sir.
You mentioned in your presentation the Orange Hospital.
Yes, sir.
And I was wondering if there are any areas across communication services facilities, are there any areas that either currently or that you foresee of some collaboration or sharing interaction with the other major hospitals?
Right. So this will be the only state-of-the-art multidisciplinary cancer center in Northeast Texas. There's smaller cancer programs in several cities, and actually the Orange guys have a little cancer center. And I work with all of them. They oftentimes will kind of quietly send me patients. And the answer is we are currently working with them and their new dean of the medical schools. They are opening a medical school. I come from a background as a medical and surgical educator for 30 years of my life. I told the previous dean that I would be happy to have residents or students. They were in a little bit of disarray at that time, just dealing with COVID like all of us were. They've now got a new dean who is very engaged. And so I will tell you, we are having active conversations with them about being a site where their students and residents come to work with us so that we can be involved in the training. That's what I think would be the perfect world, is to work collegially and collaboratively, not have this dividing line. I was in Houston for many years. I don't know if any of you know the story of St. Luke's Hospital and Dr. Curley, and then Methodist Hospital and Dr. DeBakey. They are literally, here to here across from one another. Well, there was no communication. Those guys wouldn't talk to one another. They wouldn't work together. They openly hated one another. For 40 years, it was ridiculous. So I have no use for that kind of pettiness. I'm here, again, to take care of the community. I could care less where you go. Your primary care doctor can be at UT, can be at Christus, can be associated with none of them. We're here to help the patients. So I'm very agnostic when it comes to that kind of thing. I've made a few jokes about it, but I've talked with the president over there, I've talked with the dean, and yes, we hope to be engaged with them in helping them in their education programs as a starting point. Chase.
To piggyback off the first question, you might talk about just like the nurse navigators and how we have kind of a liaison to help you walk you through the process, because I think that that's a big piece of the whole journey.
Yeah, and that's something that big cancer centers have and that we did not have up here, and we just hired the first one. I had to give up my own nurse because she took the job. So I'm giving up my nurse for the cause, so I now hire a new nurse. But she's excellent, and she's very compassionate, very thoughtful, and very much engaged with the patients. She's very emotionally dialed in. So Ashley's going to be a great asset to the patients. So again, with any new patients who come into our surgical oncology center, and then again, ultimately we'll expand it to the medical oncology side of the house as well, she's going to meet them along with the physician, and she's going to say, look, I know you got a lot on your mind right now. I'm here to kind of guide you. Let's go down. I'm going to take you and show you where you're going to get your CT scans or your MRI. So navigator, sometimes it will literally physically be taking somebody down. Sometimes it's going to be navigating all the paperwork, navigating the insurance, navigating, questions that come from family. One of the things I learned a long time ago, as a physician, we get a list of medications the patient's on. I learned to ask patients, okay, now what are you taking that is not a prescribed medication? What did you see on the internet that is the latest miracle cure, right? And how is that going to affect you? And, oh, gee, that one may be dangerous. It's going to make you bleed if I operate on you. These are important things to know. So she will help do those sorts of things. Yes, sir.
What do you expect the new patient load to be? Is it going to be a gradual increase, or are most of these people you're treating already being treated here, or do you expect a high increase in patients?
So when I came 4 years ago, my 4-year anniversary was on July 9th, just last month. When I came here, I was subsequently told by both our CEO and president, we didn't know if you were gonna have anything to do. Well, yeah, she's laughing. So my first year, I did over 240 major surgical cases. I told you we're now up to, in September, it'll be 6 surgical oncologists. So we did about 240 that first year. We just ended our fiscal year, June 30th, 1,300 major cancer cases. So the program has grown exponentially in only 4 years. And I suspect it will continue to grow. We're already looking for another surgical specialist. The medical oncologist hired 1 new person. They're looking for another the year after. We'll have a new radiation oncologist within a year. So the answer is yes, we have built this program not for what we need now, but for the growth I anticipate we'll have in the next 5 to 10 years.
We've got to close.
I'm sorry.
No, there's no apology needed. Will you be able to stay a few minutes?
Absolutely.
If you have questions, he will be here that you can ask. We very much appreciate that program. Excellent. It is time now for the Ace of Diamonds drawing. Remember that 1/2 of the drawing is for the club, 1/2 benefits the winner if the correct card is chosen. If the winner is a Rotary guest, the Rotary guest will get 25%, and Rotarian host will get 25%. JB3, what is the amount for today? Whoa!
That was good.
$2,991.
Wow.
No more
Knocking on the
caffeine.
door, 3,000.
Yeah, look at that.
Okay, well, the good physician then draw the winning ticket.
Wrong physician.
Okay. What number do you need me to read?
The last 3 numbers.
825.
825.
There she is.
Oh, she didn't have far to go. Good job.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yes.
See if you can draw the right card.
This is my, okay.
Colby will help
So
you.
I just choose.
Colby, help Dr. Duncan.
Use the force.
Dum, 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 dum,
They won't let her have it. Oh, ace of hearts.
Oh, God. I thought you got it. I looked at it like you got that.
Please fill out the surveys on your table. It only takes a minute. And let us stand for the 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First,
Is it the truth?
Second,
Is it
Fair to all concerned.
third,
Will it build goodwill and better friendship?
fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Oh, the coaches need to see David at the end. We are adjourned.
You know, I went off of this yearly, but I came that day, we didn't have a